Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWAS. We are into NFL Week 6, Thursday Night Football, NFC East game here. Eagles and Giants are in MetLife. Let's do it.
I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points?
I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce.
Real quick, forgot to record this part. So we're sitting at 7.5, and we've been sitting at 7.5 all week. Looks like they might have took a little bit of Giants money because I'm seeing it soft 7.5 now, juiced a little bit to the New York side, but for the most part, we're just looking at 7.5s here. We're up to 50K limits.
All right, Eagles, Giants, let's talk about it. So I'm sure you don't need to watch this YouTube video to know that the Giants haven't had a ton of success when it comes to playing Philadelphia. In their last 36 games against their division rivals, they're just 8-28. 8-28 straight up. So they do not beat the Eagles outright very often, but they are 16-20 against the number. So they do cover the spread here and there. But yeah, they have not had a ton of success against the Eagles in recent years. That being said, if you just isolate it to games in the Meadowlands, though, their last 9 home games against the Eagles, they're actually 4-5 against them, 5-4 against the spread. So betting the Giants against the number against the Eagles at home in recent years has actually been slightly profitable. So all right, we've seen the Eagles have problems in the Meadowlands in the last few years, and on top of that, I mean, Jackson Dart, he's never lost to this Philadelphia team. Obviously, that's a joke. It's his 3rd career start. But yeah, Jackson Dart, 0 career losses against Philadelphia. All jokes aside, let's get into it. So we've got both of these teams coming off losses in Week 5. In fact, both of these teams blew sizable leads in Week 5. The Eagles was a lot worse than the Giants. The Giants blew an early 14-3 lead, but it was like first quarter or second quarter. The Eagles blew a 14-point fourth quarter lead. So the Eagles' blown lead was a little more embarrassing than the Giants was, but both of these teams blew leads last week. So let's match these two teams up on the field. We'll start with the matchup for the Eagles offense. And, I mean, Philadelphia's offense really hasn't been that impressive so far this year. As I'm sure you've probably heard, everyone's talking about it. In fact, on the season, the Eagles are below average. They're 21st in success rate, 18th in EPA per play. The good news is this is an Eagles offense that likes to run the ball. In fact, the Eagles run the ball more frequently than any other team in the NFL. They're first in rushing frequency, and the Giants have been terrible against the run this year. So that's a nice little matchup for the Eagles offense. The Giants can't seem to stop the run. So I suppose that's the number one question on this side of the ball. What can the Giants defense do to keep the Eagles from just gashing them on the ground in this game? Now, the Eagles are missing an important piece on the offensive line. Landon Dickerson not going to play in this game. So that makes the Eagles' interior offensive line a little vulnerable. They still got their superstar offensive tackles, Lane Johnson and Mailata there. Two probably the best offensive tackles in the NFL. But without Landon Dickerson, he's the most important piece of that interior offensive line. Without him, the Eagles' interior offensive line might be a little vulnerable in this one. And, I mean, this is a Giants defense that has Dexter Lawrence in the middle, who's an absolute monster. Now, the Giants defense is pretty thin at linebacker. McFadden's bid out, but in addition to McFadden, they also have injuries to the depth at linebacker. So they've got a couple guys that could play, but they're pretty thin there. So basically, the Giants need their defensive line to have a monster performance here. But in my opinion, that's not completely out of the question. Without Dickerson, like I said, this interior offensive line for the Eagles, it actually might be pretty vulnerable. Dexter Lawrence, I mean, Juergens is a solid center, but those guards, you got the backup at left guard and Tyler Steen at right guard. Those will be the weakness of the offensive line for the Eagles. Dexter Lawrence might be able to be pretty disruptive in this game. And keep in mind, the Giants only played Dexter Lawrence for 31 snaps last week. He usually plays like 45, 50 snaps. So the Giants were resting him for this game. This is the Super Bowl here. Giants got their new quarterback, prime time at home in front of their fans that are pumped up, that just saw their team win their last home game against their rival, the Eagles. Man, the Giants are loading up for this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dexter Lawrence making all kinds of plays, just blowing that offensive line up. Now, we talked about how terrible this Giants defensive front has been against the run this year. We do want to give them a little bit of credit, though. Last week, they were excellent. They took the run away from the Saints on the road in New Orleans. They allowed just 3.07 yards per carry, 89 yards rushing in the game. Now, we don't want to just completely erase the first 4 games, but We do want to point out that the Giants are coming off their best defensive performance, especially against the run on the road in New Orleans. It is just the Saints, so we don't want to throw them a parade for it, like I said. But despite losing the game, they did take the run away from the Saints. So maybe the Giants coming into this one with some momentum. And let's be honest, the Eagles aren't really running the ball well. They ran the ball a little bit in the opener against the Cowboys defense, but we haven't seen much of a rushing attack from the Eagles since then. In their last 4 games, now they have played some tough defenses. We do want to take note of that. Denver, Tampa, the Rams, Chiefs, whatever. They have played some tough defenses, but they're averaging just 3.5 yards per carry as a team, 86.3 rushing yards per game. That is not what the Eagles want to see. This is an offense that wants to run the ball. They haven't been running the ball very efficiently. So I really do think there's a path here to the Giants playing well in this game on the defensive side of the ball. It's a short week. Giants clearly have this one circled. They've been loading up for this game, like I said. Eagles going into MetLife. The Eagles missing an important piece on the offensive line. I think the Giants' defensive front could play a good game here. Now, I do want to give some credit to Jalen Hurts. He's definitely been better in the last few games, 212 passing yards per game. I mean, this isn't like an explosive passing attack, but he's been efficient. He's been making better choices. He's been under a decent amount of pressure. He's handled it really well. So let's give some credit to Jalen Hurts, and I'm sure he's able to make some plays in this game, but like I said, I think we're going to see the Giants defense best fastball in this one. Now, when it comes to the other side of the ball, though, this is where it gets a little tougher. Can we count on the Giants offense to do anything in this game against Philadelphia's defense? Well, we've got injury concerns for both teams on this side of the ball. The Eagles defense might actually be getting Nakobe Dean back. I'm reading he has a chance of suiting up, but I'm not sure. He hasn't played in so long. So even if he is activated, I'm not sure how many snaps he'll see. I'm not sure if that should really move the needle for us. But good news for the Eagles. They might be getting Nakobe Dean back. Nolan Smith still out for the Eagles. And Jalen Carter, a late addition to the injury report. He wasn't even on the injury report early in the week. He was added on Wednesday with a heel injury. And I'm actually reading there's a realistic chance that he doesn't play in this game. I don't know that for certain. Don't take my word on that. Just go Google it. I'm reading that there's a chance he doesn't play here. Obviously, that would be a huge loss. He's one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL. And particularly in this matchup, Giants have been running the ball recently. We know the Giants want to run the ball with Scatterbo and Jackson Dart. Missing Jalen Carter on the road in a short week would be tough for this Eagles defense. Now, we know the Giants offense is dealing with injuries themselves. They're missing 2 of their top 3 receivers here. Malik Neighbors still on the IR. Darius Slayton is actually not going to play in this game either. Also, their right tackle, Illuminor, he's listed as questionable. Not sure if he's going to play. He did participate in a light practice on Wednesday, so maybe he's out there. I'm not sure. So by no means is the Giants offense healthy, but check this out. If you're a Giants fan or you plan on betting the Giants in this game, you're looking right here. This team is running the ball, and it actually looks pretty efficient. 42.6% success rate per rush, 4.3 yards per carry, over 142 rushing yards per game in their last 3. And now Jackson Dart adds another element to this rushing attack. I mean, we're talking a decent-sized sample now. 3 games in a row where the Giants have been running the ball a little bit. And look, this Eagles defense, this is not the Eagles Super Bowl defense from last year. They lost a bunch of pieces from this defense. This defense has been getting run on all season. This is the weakest aspect of this Eagles team so far this year is their run defense. They're allowing 4.7 yards per carry, over 43% success rate per rush, just under 127 rushing yards per game. Going on the road to MetLife in a division game on a short week against a Giants team that's fired up with Scatterbo and Jackson Dart, the crowd's going to be going crazy. Are they going to be able to take this runaway from the Giants? The Giants might be able to run the ball in this game. They've been running the ball consistently. And I also would not be surprised to see Jackson Dart connect on a home run swing or 2 in this game. We know the Eagles defense is coming into this one with one plan. They see what the Giants offense is doing. They see where the Giants offense is having some success. The Eagles defense is coming into MetLife with one plan. Don't let the Giants run the ball. Well, that could open up some opportunities downfield for Jackson Dart. I know he's a rookie, but we know he can throw the ball downfield. If you watch this guy play at Ole Miss, you know he can throw the ball downfield. Jalen Hyatt, kind of a forgotten name there. Giants wide receiver out of Tennessee, doesn't have a single catch this year. Pretty sure he has 0 catches. But with the injuries to wide receiver, he is a deep threat. He is a viable weapon in terms of the deep ball. I think Jackson Dart might hit Jalen Hyatt on a big one in this one. So as far as betting the game, I'm on Giants plus 7.5. I also have a small bet on Jalen Hyatt anytime touchdown at plus 700. But I want to be clear, That's just for fun. I mean, those anytime touchdown bets, bro, they're not good bets. I mean, like, they're fun, but like, there's no inverse side. They don't let you bet Jalen Hyatt to not score a touchdown. So what incentive do the sportsbooks have to give you a fair price on that? Like, okay, Jalen Hyatt anytime touchdown at plus 700. Who's to say it shouldn't be plus 1100? You can't bet the no. There's no inverse side to balance the market. So those are not good bets. But I did place one for fun. So I'm on Giants plus 7.5. I personally think it should be a strong 6.5. I think the Giants are going to run the ball. I think this is their Super Bowl here with their new quarterback. And I placed a fun bet on Jalen Hyatt anytime touchdown plus 700. Thanks for watching. Remember to bet responsibly. Let's start week 6 off on the correct foot here. Yeah, talk to you guys later.